You're a busy teacher. There's no denying that. So today I want to share this simple productivity hack with you that is sure to clear your busy teacher brain. I vividly remember a day when my daughter, who was in 6th grade at the time, she and I just came home and she was just so stressed and overwhelmed by all these things that she had to do. They were just on her mind. And so we sat in the car for a moment and I asked her if we could just take a second and think about all the things. And she agreed, and that's when I took out my secret weapon, a notebook and a pen. I asked her to tell me everything she could think of that was on her mind, and I just kept writing it down in the notebook. And we looked at the list together, and just that simple looking at the list made her feel so much better. Now, this productivity hack for busy teachers is a little bit more than just making a list. So I want to tell it to you step by step. Because let's face it, life can be so overwhelming. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how many responsibilities that you have. You may find that this is helpful to you at the end of the school year, maybe at the beginning of a school year, maybe during report card season, or really just about any time when you feel overwhelmed. Maybe even today. You may even use this for a student who may just need to clear their head. Okay, so let's get started. Step number 1 is to get it all out. This step is way more than just making a list. It's a literal brain dump where you get everything, and I mean everything, out of your head and onto paper. Your tasks, your worries, family stuff, professional stuff, teacher stuff, even that thing that Joni said to you the other day that you just can't shake, literally everything. And let's be honest, this list might be very long, especially the first time that you do this. This list may be overwhelming in and of itself, but it's important that you really take the time to do it and do it well and thoroughly. You could do this digitally, but I really love doing it with pen and paper. Even though I type faster than I write and my handwriting is pretty bad, there's just something about writing it on paper that just seems to work better. Now, if you do type it, you may consider printing it out so that you can do the next step. Now, this is what my very first brain dump like this looked like. It covered 4 full pages of things that were on my mind. It was everything from emptying the dishwasher to correcting papers to worrying about my parents' health. All these things are things that take up space inside your brain. Now, here's your warning. Really, be sure not to minimalize this step. Give yourself a good 10, 15, 20 minutes to just sit and think and list all these things out of your head and onto paper. And if you find yourself pausing and thinking you're done, just wait a couple more minutes and really see if you can squeeze everything out and get it on the paper. And once everything is down, it's time for step 2, where you can take a look at all the things that you've written down and start to categorize it. You can check things off as you rewrite your list from one paper to sorting through in different categories, or maybe you're the type of person who likes to grab your highlighters and start using those. Now, your categories can be as broad or narrow as you need. I like to use at least these 5 categories. The to do now, to do soon, to do later, or to worry about later, projects, and probably the most important is the list of things that I just can't control. Now, you've probably heard me talk about knowing the things that you can and can't control and being able to let go of those things that you can't control. These may be things that are, happening at school or happening in other people's lives, things that you can't influence or you can't actually do much about, but they are still taking space in your brain and in your heart. And it's a good idea to just get them down on the paper and then put them into that physical list of things that you just can't control. And then try and let them go. Now, there may be some things on your master list that just don't fit into any of these categories, and that's okay too. You may even find that those things that don't have a category can just fall away. You wrote them down, but that may be all you really needed to do with those. It's kind of cool, actually. Like the thing that Joni said about you the other day that you just can't shake. Sometimes the act of just writing it down helps it to go away. From my daughter's list, which was relatively short at the time, about 6 to 8 things on it, she was able to categorize things into what she should do that night and what she could just hold off on for another day or so. And that's what just gave her that clear plan of attack. For me, and I can usually have way more than 6 to 8 things on my list, I can further break down those categories. For example, in the to-do now category, I can put those into to-do now for home and to-do now for work or school, or even errands, and then computer work that I need to sit down and get done. When I can do that, I have grouped things together that I can do at the same time or in the same way, and that helps me to be even more productive with those particular tasks. Which brings us to step number 3, which is tackling your priorities. Once you have laid it all out there and sorted through all the things that were cluttering up your brain, now it's time to tackle those priorities. Fair warning, be good to yourself in this step. Be careful not to bite off more than you can chew. You really want to think about how you can pick out the real priorities and figure out what you actually have time to do today or tomorrow or in the next few days or weeks ahead. Sometimes we can just get so gung-ho about getting things done that we can make a huge list of to-do things that we need to tackle. And then when we don't get it done, we can feel like a failure. Well, we want to prevent that. Instead, really take a moment to figure out what you actually need to do today. Limit it to 3 or so things that you can realistically get done and accomplish, and then you can cross those things off completely. And while you're figuring out those things to do, go ahead and check your schedule for the rest of the week and start assigning 2 or 3 things each day that you can realistically do. And as you're checking your schedule, you can see if there are days when you can only do 1 thing, or maybe no things, or maybe 3 things in that one day. Remember, you just did all this work to clear your brain, so be careful not to overwhelm it. Now, this is a productivity hack that you should do every so often. The first time you write everything down, it will be pretty massive. But the more that you do this, the more manageable these lists become. I make a list like this about every month or so, or anytime that I just feel things starting to overwhelm my brain, and it helps every single time. Now, if you ever feel super stressed and maybe need a strategy for yourself before you even have the capacity to do this productivity hack, make sure you check out this video right here. In it, I take you through my stop, look, and listen strategy that will certainly help you in the moment that you need it the most. And if you want to see what else I've got in my teacher self-care playlist right here on YouTube, go ahead and check out these videos here. Either way, I'll see you in the next video.